It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
Collier far side, left-hand dribble, chest to Kessler, comes back to get it, takes another three with confidence and hits. Isaiah Collier back-to-back threes to open the game. Juzang finds Sensabaugh, left-hand dribble, bounces Sheboy to the rack. Oscar Sheboy over Zach Edey. Tyler Jenkins needs a timeout. He's befuddled, stupefied, and can't believe what he sees. The Jazz are on fire. Rebound loose. Martin has it. Ahead to Williams. Cross the half line on the far side. Long skip pass to Juzang. Quick release three. Wow! Johnny Juzang! How do you do? Now Collin comes to the front court. Across the purple logo in the middle of the floor. Works to the right side. Hangs with the dribble. Lobs it. Walker rips it home.
Pass the mother ball. Run back on defense. When it's time to communicate what we're doing on defense, you should do it at a volume louder than I'm talking to you right now. When there is a loose ball, you need to want it more than the other team. You are a member of a team. This is not about you. This is not a personal workout for you. I could go on and on and on, but you get the point. It's a team game. The moment that you make everything about yourself is the moment that it all goes bad. The lights are on, you're competing, you're representing an organization, you're representing a fan base, our community, and that was just unacceptable.
The Utah Jazz get blown out by the Memphis Grizzlies, 140-103. Will Hardy played all of it earlier, but you heard some of it right there. He was really unhappy after the game. That's what happens when your team gets out-rebounded 33-8.
So who's he talking about?
Makes it look like you're not trying. Well, I think he's probably talking about multiple guys. I don't know all of them, but at the top of the list, I would put Keontae George.
Keontae George got a new sleeve of tats. Looking good.
Jazz were outscored 41-17 in the third quarter, 76-38 in the second half. And after Will Hardy said what he said at the podium, the meeting went into the locker room. I was anchoring last night, so I wasn't there, but I know people who were in the locker room. And Kessler told Keontae to knock it off because he's being loud and bubbly, and you're not supposed to be like that. And may have been saying not safe for work stuff that we can't repeat here on the air. So, yeah, I came away with the impression that he was talking about Keontae. He didn't name names in the postgame, as far as I know. And I don't think he named names in any side conversations he may or may not have had with people. So, I can't go there, but, yeah, I came away with the distinct impression Keontae.
Cut him. Cut them all.
And I don't know, and I don't know that it's just one guy, but because of what I heard about in the locker room, I did go right to Keontae.
That was pathetic. I was embarrassed for them. As he said himself, Will Hardy.
Yes, pathetic's a good word. Embarrassing. You can't get out rebounded 33-8. You're not trying. You're just not trying. And I know that people are saying, well, the team isn't trying to win. You're right, the team isn't trying to win. But if you individually want to stay in the league, you need to try. And if they decide they don't want to win, then they need to take you out. And we've seen Kessler has been rested, which, is ridiculous. He's 23. He doesn't need to rest as often as they've rested him. But it's because he's playing too well. So that's the decision you got to make the coaches make.
Under that theory, I should be taking a lot of rest.
Oh, yeah, you should be working 2 days a week tops.
I mean, because talk about playing well.
Yeah, I don't want your greatness 5 days a week on the radio. It's ridiculous. Can't have that.
I need to put my feet up.
Do you think he was in anybody he was talking about there?
I'm not the basketball expert. I don't know.
Yeah, but you still have opinions.
I do, and when I don't have one and I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know.
Jazz are back in action tomorrow versus the Houston Rockets. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
Tyler up top for three. Got it. He's 3 for 3 from the edges. Tyler reading this game really well tonight. Cavs by 5. Mobley into the lane. Pow with 2 hands and a foul to go with it as his teammates erupt on the Cavalier bench.
Trapped by Ellis, crosses him over, steps back, fires. It's for 3 off the right wing. Nothing but net. Chachinga Joe authored Moneyball, helped up by Dagnall, knocked down by Ellis without a whistle. And Oklahoma City pushes back to a 16-point lead. A spectacular step back by Isaiah Joe for his 4th three-pointer tonight. He has 14 points. What a response.
In the NBA, a few intriguing games. Jimmy Butler returns to Miami, and the Heat blow out the Warriors 112-86. And, of course, Steph Curry was over there in street clothes, so that diminishes the Warriors' chances of winning greatly, immediately.
Why would they, in Miami, give him a video tribute?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I know.
Why?
Political reasons.
I don't think for him they have to do stuff. I get what you're saying.
No, it's not for him. It has nothing to do with him. It's for you can't be racist.
Yeah, but
they can't call them owners. They got to be governors.
There was so much conflict on the way out of town, and I get what you're saying, and I get why that applies 99% of the time. But this is 1% it doesn't apply.
Oh no, that applies everything, and they have to sell it for the future
conflict.
Kids. You're not going to be over here where we rip you. It's all political. And put a disclaimer. We don't want to do this, but this is exclusively for political reasons. We can't badmouth a player on the way out because if you come here, we will love you and all that stuff.
That was so publicly political. I mean, it's so publicly.
It has nothing to do with Jimmy Butler. You're missing the point. It's all down the line. For the next player, you will be loved here. You will love it here. We want you here. We will take care of you. And it was Jimmy Butler was irrelevant. And
it will end poorly because Pat Riley will not give away the contract at the end of the career that we saw with Nowitzki in Dallas and Kobe in L.A., to a lesser degree Stockton and Malone here, but a little bit here as well. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to sit there for 2, 3, 4 years and slow down the rebuild. So Shaq, D-Wade, and now Butler, it doesn't end well because he's not willing to give them the money and let them play 2 or 3 years when they're not elite.
Well, they're 16-4, the Warriors are with Butler, so
Yep.
I don't know that Riley is making a right decision.
He may have made it too early. I mean, there's that whole cliche that goes back, 50, 75 years, well, more than 50, 75 or 100 years with the Dodgers. It's better to get rid of somebody a year too early than a year too late. And I think that Pat Riley really buys into that. So maybe this is the year too early, not year too late, but he didn't want to give Butler 3 more years of money. And you're right. The Warriors have been crushing it since they got Butler, with the exception of last night, but they didn't have Curry. Sam Merrill gets a start. The former Aggie scores 14 points, has a nice night shooting the ball. He was in the lineup, 5 of 7 from the floor, 4 of 6 from the three-point line. Former Aggie was playing because Donovan Mitchell was out, left groin injury management. It's the end of the NBA season. Rest guys and get them as healthy as possible for the playoffs as you get into the last 10 or 15 games. So Donovan's out. And the Cavs win anyway. They beat the Blazers 122-111. Thunder have the NBA's best record. They are the first team to 60 wins, 121-105. They handled the Sacramento Kings. Former Weber State Wildcat Damian Lillard out indefinitely due to blood clots in his calf. The 34-year-old is on blood-thinning medication to stabilize the clot. Lillard had missed Milwaukee's past 3 games with what was called a calf strain at the time, but Lillard's status has not improved.
Him and Wembanyama with the blood clots.
Yep. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
We as a fan base or even media found out like you're the guy, the guy recently. When did you know? When did they tell you, or when was that message to you?
They haven't told me, and I'm happy they didn't because I try to earn it every single day, and I never want that to be given to me, and it's such a privilege and opportunity to give me that chance, and I'm just going to make the most of it every single day.
That's J.J. McCarthy. Is he the Vikings starting quarterback? The assumption is he is, but the Vikings haven't told him that, so there you go. Russell Wilson, 1 year, $10.5 million guaranteed. He can make up to $21 million playing for the Giants. And the team also signed quarterback Jameis Winston. So it looks like Russell Wilson probably starting, Winston probably backing up, but see how that plays out. Stephon Diggs, 3-year deal to the New England Patriots. $26 million guaranteed, $69 million available all in. Diggs is 31. He had a season-ending ACL tear against the Houston Texans, Week 8 of last season. So we'll see if he's back and available early in the year. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah.
Wes Wilcox, assistant general manager with the Sacramento Kings, previously with Cleveland and Atlanta. It's reported that Utah basketball is targeting him for the general manager role for Alex Jensen's team. Wilcox would be the highest-ranking NBA front office member to take the leap to a college front office job. The deal reportedly not finalized yet, but looking like it's close.
General manager?
Yeah.
So that means he can fire Alex Jensen?
That depends on the school. At some schools you can, and at others you work for the head coach. So even though the title's there, apparently it's been set up differently in different schools. And from this, it made me think that he's working for Alex, but I don't know that. When Alex is done with the Maverick season, maybe we'll hear that.
Alex is hiring him.
Yeah. So I don't think he can fire Alex. But at Stanford football, Troy Taylor is out, and the general manager there can fire the coach, and did fire the coach.
I don't think he was general manager, and speaking of Andrew Luck, I think they made him like director of football. He was over. Troy Taylor didn't hire Andrew Luck.
Right. But I think his title is GM. But nonetheless, he's in charge. DJ and PK.
#NHL.
More bad news. St. Louis Blues are pulling away and disappearing over the horizon in the wild card race. Utah's now 8 points back as the Blues beat Montreal 6-1. Not much hope there, PK. 8 points back now as they get down to the final 11 to play. They're back in action Thursday and Friday, back-to-back in Tampa Bay and Miami. Sounds like a tall order to come away with 4 points in those two games, but that's what they have to do if there's any hope of some miracle finish, which doesn't look like it's happening.
When the season ends, I'm going to miss your daily updates of the point total.
Yes. So we have not spoken about the thought that hockey rinks for hockey for everybody, every municipality, Ryan Smith said. You liken it to Oprah. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. You get a rink, you get a rink, you get a rink.
Somewhere I envision Maya Rudolph going nuts in a Saturday Night Live skit with you get a car, you get a car. What is a municipality, though?
Every city or every county. Or maybe a city and a county. Logan's got one. Cache County should have one, too. Wait, Logan's in Cache County. Yeah, well, get him another rink. Ice time hard to come by. The number of ice rinks, I think, is more than doubled leading up to and after the Winter Olympics. It led to a little building boom there. But people who want to get on the ice say it's hard to do because the ice rinks are all full. And they're trying to create, I mean, they have, but at not as many kids, but a junior hockey program, the same way they got a junior basketball program with the Junior Jazz. But where do you get ice time for all those kids?
Well, you can do it in the winter, like, down in Sand Hollow when it freezes. Get on there.
One of the least likely places to have an outdoor rink in the state of Utah is Sand Hollow.
Well, and they must get them first. They must be on the priority list.
Get them some ice sheets.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds good, man. Grow it. Absolutely. Why not? More activities for kids, the better.
What is Trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up, Nick Kelly covers Alabama basketball for AL.com. We will talk to him about the Sweet 16 matchup, get the lowdown on the Crimson Tide. Tim Lacombe will be along at 9 o'clock. Also at 8:30, it's a Win Tickets Wednesday, caller 12. We're giving away concert tickets to see The Offspring coming up Saturday, September 6th. And we will do that coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. DJ and PK, the question of the day is next. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
Now, one thing that was thrown out there, this article starts talking about how you fix the draft odds at the All-Star break. Then you don't get this late season tanking situation. Well, the problem is you get the early season tanking situation, right?
Yeah,
so
what's the difference?
The difference is I guess the basketball in theory would be better right now. But if a team is bad enough to where they are tanking, like what makes them want to play super hard? Let's say that the Jazz, for example, would they have actually had a better record? Would their record have been been, would they have 25 wins right now? 30? Doubt it. And so saying that the midseason, like, hey, you can only tank for half of the year because then that's going to fix the late season tank. I don't know if that fixes it necessarily. I think that the NBA is in a spot where they have bigger problems than just the tank. It's the whole attitude of, I'm okay missing a bunch of games even though I'm the superstar of this team.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
One of the coolest stations in the world.
Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio show for over 20 years.
Everyone's listening.
This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the Zone. It is time for the question of the day. And off what you just heard from head coach Will Hardy, the Jazz led by 14 points with about 5 minutes left in the second quarter, and they lost by 37. How crappy is that? Tony, stick to the plan. Scores do not matter. Losses matter. Tony, there's got to be some development along the way, doesn't there?
You know, Will Hardy chooses his words carefully.
All the time.
He's a measured dude. Like he's just said, he has to constrain himself.
And you and I have both felt on many times watching his post-game and listening to his post-game that both, like in body language, he's constraining himself. He might have wanted to slap his palm on the table, emphasize something, but he didn't. And he might have wanted to raise his voice, and he might have wanted to be much more negative. And we always feel like he's toning it down. I think he just said the truth there. He's toned himself down many times this season.
Yeah, I don't see why he needs to do that. Just say what's on your mind. What's the difference? But he feels the need, so be it. But I thought to myself as I'm watching this second half, I must absolutely listen to Will Hardy. Now, I usually do anyway.
Right. But you could feel it coming.
I had to hear what he had to say.
It was such a disaster.
It was the most important aspect of the evening was Will Hardy's post-game comments. Because that was awful. I was embarrassed for the franchise. And I've been a supporter of losing games. But this was just 1,000 times unacceptable. How in the world do you get a 14-point lead in the second half and lose by 37?
You let the immortal Jay Huff run down the middle of the court by himself repeatedly and dunk on you, and you never even get close enough to him, it seemed like, to foul him. I mean, he did shoot free throws, so they did foul him one time. But mostly, they just let an absolute journeyman run down the middle of the floor and dunk on him to the point to Thurl, who's usually measured and who understands the rebuild, said, they're making Jay Huff look like an all-star.
Oh, I never heard of the guy.
Me neither. He's a total journeyman. Man, and that might be overplaying it. But he had 15 points and 6 boards in 18 minutes, and he repeatedly dunked on them. Oh, well, whatever.
The thing that I don't understand, and I put it back on Hardy a little bit, he doesn't deserve complete non-culpability here. He says at some point everyone needs to look at the mirror and understand what's being asked of them. We've got 9 games left. How come you haven't taught them by now? Why at some point? Why do they not know it now? Why haven't they known it by now? Get the point across. Sit them. Send them to the G League. Cut them.
Send them to the G League. Trade them away. Give them away at midseason.
And you think it's George?
I think it's more than one player, but George is the only one I'd be comfortable saying because even his teammate, at least one of his teammates, thought a little enough of his post-game attitude to call him out in front of the media in the locker room, and that just doesn't happen. That goes against the code. That goes against the code of coaches calling players out afterwards. And plus, watching games this year, I've thought, and well, you have too, and many other people have as well, but I've thought there are times where Keanu's just running in court, holding on to the ball. There is no offense, and then he launches one. And that goes right into what Will Hardy was talking about.
Okay, well, then why in the 72nd game are you playing him?
Yeah, I don't have a good answer for that. Because they have
what's
to.
your response
they have to
that,
play
Hardy?
somebody because there's so many people.
No, they don't. They don't have to play him. He doesn't have to play. They got players. They've got a full roster. They got G League dudes they can bring up. Harkness he's listed in the box score as DMP coach's decision. Why is he getting 23 minutes?
I don't think it's just Keontae. Also, I thought everyone on the floor, with the exception of Kessler, when you look at rebounds per minute, which is one of the many things they look at, getting out rebounded 33-8 in the second half is horrendous. That is just, you can't get out rebounded by, well, you shouldn't, you can because they did. You shouldn't get out rebounded by 25 boards in 24 minutes. That is horrific. That is just not even trying. Now, Kessler, I'll give a pass because when you look at the box score, his rebounds per minute, I mean, he had 9 in 28 minutes. Okay, so that's doable.
Yeah, but who else is a rebounder?
Filipowski's been a rebounder.
No, he's not.
He's had rebounds.
He's soft.
10, 12, 13 boards in a game. He had 2 in 24 minutes.
He's a big man who wants to shoot from the perimeter.
2 more than a dead man, as Rick Majerus would have said.
No, I mean, when they're dunking, there's no rebounds to be had. They shot 53%.
There were some rebounds to be had. There were 80 shots missed in the game. There were rebounds to be had.
But none of these guys are known for rebounding. Outside of Kessler.
You don't have to be known for rebounding to get 4 or 5 of them. 2's not good enough.
Apparently you do.
2's not good enough in 24 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think Kessler's not in the league for his rebounding. Or not Kessler.
Filipowski.
Flipper.
You should still have more than that. So
okay, well then what Williams should have, he played more than that, and he only had 1.
Yep. Yeah, and right there, yeah, Cody had 1 in 28. And there's so many missed threes, there's long rebounds to be run down. I mean, Sexton had 3 in 18 minutes. That's not outstanding, but it's a whole lot better than 1 in 28. And maybe Cody's one of the guys. You know, Hardy didn't want to sit there and list guys, so we're left to guess. But, yeah, 1 rebound in 28 minutes, 1 more than a dead man. I mean, how many times did you hear that quote?
From rebounding guys. Not Mark Rydalch wasn't getting criticized because of his lack of rebounding. Depends on what your role is on the team. I don't know. Hardy didn't mention rebounding, but you're hung up on that, so be it.
Well, I think rebounding measures effort, and I don't think the effort was there. And I don't think, I mean, to Will's points, the effort wasn't there, but the mental focus wasn't there either. The physical effort wasn't there. It was a mess on multiple levels.
Yeah, I would go offensive rebounding because that's where it takes some tenacity. And Memphis had 17, and the Jazz had 4.
And all 4 went to Kessler.
Yeah.
And that's where you can really give the guards a break because guys have got to stay back and they've got to get back and stop the transition and all that. But
they didn't.
They get 1.
Why would I give them a break?
They didn't.
I'm not giving anybody a break.
Biggest.
This was a masterpiece of dog bleep.
It was. It absolutely was.
I mean, they should be at the gym right now. Who cares about Houston? They should be no later than 7:30. They all should be there, and they all should be running. This was disgusting. It's one thing to tank, but it's another thing to open the doors, turn on the lights, and present that as your performance of Utah Jazz members. None of these guys, I guess you want to accept Kessler, deserve to put on the uniform today. None of them. They've got a major rebuild ahead if this is your product. This sucked.
We talk about NBA players understanding history and all that. I can't imagine that many players have considered Ainge's reaction to this and his, I mean, he's got to be just as horrified as Will and willing to move and dump players, you know, to see this. And not for the first time. This is the time that Will finally lost it. But
I don't think that's losing it.
Well, okay, by his standards. You're right. It's not. It could have been way, and maybe one day it will be more volcanic.
Go ahead. The measured responses isn't getting through.
That is an excellent point. It's not like that's created. The measured responses haven't led to people who are willing to rebound and fight, and the team gets down by 10 and fight to get back within 5.
Whatever you're doing, Will, isn't working.
Play so well.
I know he's the latest genius coach we've been blessed with, but it isn't working.
Play so well that the coach has to take you out of the game because you might win it.
Yeah. Call him out. Scream. What difference does it make? I mean, these are a bunch of nobodies anyway. It's not like they can hold it against you.
The other guy who maybe gets a pass with Kessler is that Colin Sexton only played 18 minutes, and he's getting we'll play you early in the game treatment, but not late in the game. So he doesn't.
Why wouldn't they play him late in the game? Was he a threat to overcome a 37-point defeat?
Well, by the time I got to 37, no, he was not. But it was a one-point game.
24?
But it was a one-point game at halftime, and we have seen the better players get their minutes. Either they don't play or they get their minutes limited in the second half. And when I see Sexton only played 18 minutes, I think he got his minutes limited in the second half.
I would have called the game in the second half. I wouldn't have played anybody. Go home early.
That's why you were sitting around waiting for, what's Coach going to say after this one? Because this one stinks worse than many.
I mean, this was an absolute disgrace. I've been positive, trying to build them up.
Right.
To say there's reasons to watch the game and get into it. Good times will come. I still think good times will come if for no other reason that
a lot of these guys won't be here.
Well, just dumb luck you get to draft some players. I mean, no, if the Clippers don't stay down forever, then nobody does. They'll get in the playoffs.
Even under Sterling, they occasionally went to the playoffs.
Yeah. And so, but I don't know about any of these dudes. They're not showing me anything. Where's the fight? Where's the competitive spirit? And I've long since got tired of George coming down and jacking up shots. He thinks it's the summer league and he's the man. No, you're not. You're a Jag. You're just another guy. That's all you are. And I don't know that he's singling out him or whomever. You think it's him, fine. I don't have any problem with that.
I don't think he's singling out. I think lots of players made him mad during that game.
Well,
but I'm confident Keontae George is on the list and probably high up the list.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. Then have some repercussions. I mean, you just don't run them out there the next game. Let's see it.
Take some minutes away.
Yeah, let's have some accountability. And, and he talked about the NBA waits for no one and the Jazz wait for no one and you represent the team, you represent the fans. All right. Well, then, if you don't want to come out and specifically say something, then you still owe the fans some type of explanation, and a DNP is an explanation.
DNP, coach's decision.
Yeah.
DNP CD.
That is an explanation. Yeah. That's who you were talking about, and you're not going to tolerate it. But if you run them out there for 25 minutes against Houston, well, what's the ramification?
Yeah.
You yelled at them and dropped a couple F-bombs in practice? Well, the fans don't know about that. You yourself said you are a representation of the fans. You brought it up. Now, tell the fans, and there's various forms of communication. You don't have to say it individually. I realize you can't do that. You got to give Jimmy Butler a video tribute when he just sabotaged your whole season. So for the next guy, I understand that, but you can, without verbally trashing him, you can sit him, and that sends the fans, okay, that's what he was getting at. Because these people are paying good money, and even if you're not paying good money, there's plenty of people who are devoting their time, effort, and emotions to this. And this is the product you put out there? No. I think the NBA ought to fine him $200,000 just based on that performance last night.
You sucked so bad. There was so little effort. There was so little energy.
In a home game, no less?
Mailed it in.
I mean, and I'm in the car at the start of the second half, and Locke and Boone are talking about a 19-year-old jazz dancer with a strong arm throwing T-shirts 30 rows up. That's what they're reduced to talk about. Because they can't talk about you, because you guys suck. They got to talk about a cheerleader with a strong arm, and her father was athletic. And he said that. This is what we're talking about in this kind of season. Got to come up with something. We just can't say, and they're paid employees, so they can't crack on them to the level that I can. I get that, and I would do that too. So I'm not criticizing them in any stretch. I'm saying that's what they're forced to talk about because you guys can't even put forth an effort. That's embarrassing. I'm furious about it.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. A lot of Jazz fans in these responses are yet. It's just they've tuned out with the tank. So Jason, if you didn't know that was a plan, you can't be helped. Sounds like another successful night in the Tankathon, Leroy.
It's different, man. I'm all for the tank. The league has set this up. So I'm all for it. And I've seen plenty of good things that were encouraging. Last night, no.
Nights where they played hard and the game was close. Nights where guys were playing well enough that they had to sit in the second half or in the fourth quarter because they might impact winning. Make the coach make that decision. But they didn't. Neil, the entire NBA is unwatchable. Now, I think that's over the top, but that's definitely out there. And if you're the NBA, you don't want that out there, and you can probably never totally stamp it out.
What's the ulterior motive there?
Yeah, I mean, it could be political, right? It could be.
And I'm not into that.
I get it, but you can't hand people like that this kind of ammo by turning in that kind of performance.
See, the lineup that they put out there was always going to lose.
Yes.
It's just, fine. That's not the problem here.
But it could have been a 15-point game.
Yeah.
A thorough beating.
Leading by 14 and getting blown out by 37 at a point in which you were down 40 on your home floor. And there's a thing on it. Go look at Hoop Central. Desmond Bain shoving one of his guys' teammates during the timeout. So it's not like Memphis is a bunch of kumbaya brothers.
But you lost by 51 points in 29 minutes at the end of the game, and Danny Ainge was sitting courtside. And you think he won't cut you, wave you?
How did he get moved up? Usually he and his son are a couple rows back.
I don't know.
He even got moved up for that.
He was sitting right there by Ryan Smith
right.
on TV.
So he moved up a couple of rows.
I want a front row seat to see who it is I'm whacking on July 1st. Keep it up, guys.
Usually his son is in like where the first or second, and himself where the press used to sit, where we used to get to sit. And I noticed, man, he moved up. He had a front row seat for that garbage.
Front row seat for that disaster. I'm over here taking notes. You guys
That's the night you want to be Bob Uecker.
Ainge wants to know who he's going to dump. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
I don't care how long the injury report is. I don't even care that Walker Kessler's playing or not. I think it's stupid that for the sake of attention, they are enforcing policy.
I think they are responding to public blowback. And if you want to talk about Kawhi Leonard not playing on national TV on a Sunday afternoon that ESPN has spent millions of dollars to air this game, that might be one issue.
So you care when the mouse cares? You don't care when little Johnny, who paid $1,000 to sit 8th row to see LeBron James play, but the mouse gets bent out of shape and, oh man, we got to enforce that. That's a bad look for the league. If I hear bad look one more time, I honestly am going to go bananas.
Yes. I mean, I think the answer is
yes. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah,
I'm saying it's stupid.
The league cares because ESPN is at the negotiating table and little Johnny in this situation can't get to the table.
They don't care about Johnny.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. When it comes to the biggest moments in Utah sports history,
Say
these guys have seen it all. This is DJ and PK. DJ and PK on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
The band of the day is The Offspring, and it's brought to you by Live Nation. Listen all day for your chance to win tickets to The Offspring Supercharged Worldwide in 25 tour. For all the live concerts and events in 2025, check out livenation.com. We'll be giving away tickets coming up in about a little more than half an hour, 8:30. Stay tuned. You know, people don't believe that there are actually authority figures in some of our local sports programs who like you and talk to you when they don't have to, sometimes just because they like to.
Oh, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't know. People are hard-headed.
We can sing together. La, 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 la.
What did you tell, and I know you were told this by someone on the inside of college athletics, these position coaches and assistant coaches and the assistants to the assistants they've been hired. Guys get hired, and what are two of the major factors in guys getting hired? And this is, I think, in football and
last
basketball.
Names?
What are the three things? Okay, last name. But that's forever. There's two things that now in the last 4 to 5 years have really come to the forefront here with the transfer portal and NIL.
Well, connections.
Right. Can you bring a player?
Yeah.
Are you connected to NIL money? Mm-hmm. Now, bring a player has changed a little. It's always been there. Danny Manning, famously, his dad was an assistant coach at Kansas. And why'd they give him that job? Because Danny's really good and they might win a national title. And they did. So it's gone on forever.
He's now coaching at Colorado.
High school coaches have brought players. High school coach gets a college job, and the senior who's a really good player at the high school comes with a high school coach. And
well, when I got the radio gig, I brought you.
See? So up there yesterday, and Wayshawn Parker, who's a transfer from Washington State, says he's asked, what's your relationship like with Mark Atuaya? And he talks about how close they are. He talks about, and they're surrounded by like 15 media people in the scrum. And he talks about how close they are. He says, I go over to his house. I know his kids. I just chill with the family. Mm-hmm. Right? And so then he's asked about transfer, and he says, well, basically, I was waiting to see where Coach was going to go, and then I was pretty much going to go there too. And I'm like, see, this is what PK was talking about a couple weeks ago. He just laid it out. Like, he's just very matter of fact. And then Dan Pierre, the quarterback, comes over and is asked about, what does Jason Beck do? What is it that helps make you so productive and put up these numbers? Right to trust. It's the relationship. He trusts me to make plays. He knows what I can do, knows, where the problems would be. He sets me up to succeed, and then I make sure I go out there and succeed. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically it. It came down to trust. He knows me, I know him. He knows what I can do. I know what he wants. That's why we're successful.
I asked Coach Whittingham last week if Beck and Dampier were a package deal. He said, basically, in the paraphrase, no, but yes.
Yeah, which is pretty much what Dampier said.
Yeah.
He didn't say Atuaya. I mean, in the case of Atuaya and Parker, Parker just said, I was waiting to see where he was going. The kid was just 100% just.
Which sucks for Washington State.
It does.
And that Washington State also lost their quarterback and OC who went to Oklahoma.
And with Dampier, it's not a package deal, but when there's that level of trust,
they had a strong idea it was going to happen.
Yeah, they know.
It was no surprise.
Right. It's filing under unwritten rule. It's not written anywhere, but you know how stuff works.
I didn't get into it because you can't, because you got 3-4 minutes there.
Yeah.
And I try not to dominate because I know there's, as an old beat writer,
other people are they're working on, and they need to ask a question.
Right.
And
so
because
the
windows are so short at the University of Utah that you're just trying to get one question in.
Right. And I always, on all the Zoom stuff, I rarely ask a question because I know the beat folks do. They need it. They need that access way more than I do. But if I had time, I would have asked how much of the reason you hired Beck was because you knew you'd get Dampier. That's got to be more than that because you want Jason Beck to be there for a number of years, and Dampier has a limited time as a player, obviously. But I think in the immediacy, especially for Kyle Whittingham, probably isn't going to be there in 3 years. That mattered. So that connection there, and that's the world in which we live.
The world in which we live, if you change coordinators every 2 years, people, if they raise an eyebrow, would only raise it slightly. Because coordinators move all the time for lots of reasons. They move for better coordinator jobs. They move for head coaching jobs. They move because they get fired because that side of the ball isn't productive. So, yes, you want them for longer because ideally a coach would say, yeah, I'd love to have a coordinator who's here for 10 years and just hits it out of the park
I was thinking
every year.
5.
Okay, 5 years and hits it out of the park every year. But you know what? If it's 2 years they hit it out of the park and I get this player and then everybody takes off, it's okay. That's not, it's not necessarily going to wreck us.
No.
You'd like something different, but you could live with it.
Yeah.
If you knew you're going to be really good for those 2 years.
I'm thinking if Jason Beck stayed here 5 years, they would have a pretty good run. And I think they'll have a pretty good run. I think he's very good, and I think Dampier has an opportunity to be electric. I'm very excited for that first game down in the Rose Bowl against the Bruins to see what they've got right off the bat. Because I certainly think they're going to have a bounce back.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.